Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Toronto Spirit Society. Today is Sunday, May 22. Incredible. This year is just flying by. It's a pleasure to have you here in such a beautiful spring day. It's always a temptation with a long weekend to find other things that are pleasant to do, but I'm glad that you're here to share with us this lecture by our dear friend Catatina. We've been working through the divine laws for the last 6 weeks or so. So we're coming to an end. Today we're going to be listening to a complex and sometimes sensitive subject around the law of reproduction. But it is one of the laws that Kardec and the spirits wanted to highlight and point out their importance to us. Before we start, I'd just like to welcome, we have some new visitors today that coming for their TSS for the first time. We also have a visitor from the United States that's here visiting for Toronto for a few days, and we really thank your presence here this morning. We will start with a short reading by the book Family Constellation. I thought this would be very appropriate given the subject that we're going to be discussing today. And in the introduction, actually, Givaldo and actually the spirit Joana de Angelis, psychographed through Givaldo, instructs us. Human beings are inherently designed to live in families, so as to develop sublime contents of the psyche, which lie dormant, awaiting the stimuli of life at home to be liberated and to sublimate the self. When procreating with responsibility, they reach one of the climax moments of existence, especially when they become conscious of procreation's significance. The instinctual energy in animals, which fosters care for its offsprings, is found as superior feelings in humans, manifesting an extensive care and protection to the point of sacrifice. When this does not occur, it is the result of pathologic behavior, a psychological disorder. In all forms of life, this divine energy is present. In humans, it is conscious, discerning, reasoning, loving, and wise. This noble feeling finds fertile soil in the family to grow, joyfully welcoming the fragile beings that restart the journey, while sustaining those that maintain its solid pillars. For these reasons and many others, the constellation of the family will never disappear from Earth's society. The proliferating, diseased ego is to be overcome by spiritual beauty. Wonderful words. Let them inspire us as we raise our thoughts to God Almighty, our Father, our Creator, who in His wisdom brought us into existence, taught us the directions to be followed, instituting His divine laws. Let He shine upon us this morning, His mercy, His love, and His inspiration. Let us pray as well for all of the good spirits that come here every week, while incarnated or discarnated, looking for lessons, direction, comfort, and love. We thank Jesus Christ, our Master, our Teacher, who showed us in His simple language how to achieve our desired goals with the simple act of love and charity. Let them all inspire us, inspire Catatina. Open our minds, soften our hearts for the words and lessons that we've come here this morning. So be it. Catatina, you're up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Uh, Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It was a great reading that Joe brought to us, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. Basically about family. It's a topic called the Law of Reproduction. But I could also say that it's very polemic subjects I'm going to bring here today. So please bear with me. We're going to be talking about things that may will be related to, specific to some of us. And it's not about judging. It's not about pointing fingers. But we have to study the view of the Spiritism in the law of reproduction, so we can continue growing and evolving, and learning will help us to become better, right? For the next, for the ones around us, and especially for the next life we're gonna get. So to start today, this slide is kind of funny. We're gonna talk about. Do you have anybody that can help? Celibacy and marriage. Marriage used to be a must thing. There was no option. You have to get married in the old days. If you don't get married, you get pointed on the street for not having a family, a husband or a wife. Society somehow imposes us a marriage as the thing to do, the right thing to do. But as we evolve and become more like modern families, this option has become more and more a not chosen options. A not chosen option. Should we wait?
This is recycled.
Perfect time for the ones coming. There you go.
Keep going.
Yeah. So the definition of celibacy is a choice of not marrying and not having sexual interaction with anyone. Either or, and sometimes for our religion's point of view. It's a religious option. Usually when we think about celibacy, we relate to priests, and especially from the Catholic side. When we think about celibacy, we all think about them. But nowadays, I'm sure we can find a friend or a neighbor or a co-worker that decided not to get married for some reason. It's a choice. Dealing with another human being, sometimes it can be a sacrifice. It can be difficult. So today, there is no big judgment from society, and a lot of people are taking that path in life, not for a religion's point of view. So that's the definition, sorry. It's the state of voluntarily being unmarried, sexually abstinent, or both, usually for religious reasons, as we saw. And there is a question, is not celibacy the part of some persons, on the part of some persons, a sacrifice made by them to the sake of devoting themselves entirely to the service of humanity? And the High Spirit's answer to us: every sort of personal sacrifice is meritorious when it's made for a good end, and the greater sacrifice, greater the merit. So that brings us our attention to just think, am I choosing being alone? Am I choosing not dealing with the family for good reasons, or just for personal selfishness choice? Or sometimes we just go with the flow in life and we don't make an effort, because I have friends that they were married before, they divorced, or they haven't even been there yet, and they say, you know what? I'm living my life, I'm paying my bills, I don't need a man, and I don't want to deal with this because it's not worth it. All the stress and all the, we know about relationship, it's not easy. So I have friends that think like that. And they're choosing celibacy. for some reason. Is that what we Spiritists, what do we think about that? Celibacy can be either a great benevolent act, or it can be very selfishness. And that's what we want to bring your attention. That's the view of Spiritism. It's either or. When you make a choice not to be with someone, not to make a family, it can be very selfish. Or, on the other side, it can be very, very enlightened. And if you're using, like some people do, to help others, to live their lives. Jesus never got married. Our big, greatest Spiritists, Chico Xavier, Divaldo, they never got married. But they have a life that not many couples with the 10 children have. So, again, it's not about judging. It's about paying attention and getting to look inside. No? It is what it is. That's all right. Thank you for trying, Joe. So, that's the point of view on celibacy today. So let's look with that point of view from now on. And what can we say about marriage? It is one of the first results of progress in the constitution of human society because it establishes fraternal solidarity. As Joe read today, there is no life on earth without family. There will be family always. And family is the only way we can reach and we can evolve. God or the spirits, they use the marriage to make us evolve. And on question 696 in the Spiritist book, what would be the effect upon human society on the abolition of marriage? What if we didn't have it? It will therefore be a return to infancy on the human race, and would place a man even below certain animals. That's how serious it is. Families are sometimes very difficult. It has, of course, the beautiful side, but usually it's not. But we depend on it to evolve this planet, and even if you don't sign a paper, and marriage should not be about signing the contract. Marriage is not only the legal document, the legal aspect of it. It's not so we can pay less income tax at the end of the year, right? Here in Canada especially, we know that if you do the math, you better have a spouse. So, but it's not about that only. It's a commitment, heart to heart. It's a consciousness to consciousness. It's you saying, I am not perfect. I know we are not perfect, but let's help each other. Marriage is a commitment to, it's the first commitment on a big charity we can do in life before having children. It's a commitment to help the next person that's with you every single day to become a better person. So sometimes when we think about marriage, how many of us know someone or have been chosen a husband or a wife because of the money, the bank account, the family, the status in a society? How many times we choose a partner based on the material side that the partner, or the benefits that the person is going to bring to us? And I have in my family marriage, they're very difficult, and I used to look at the person and say, why are you with that person? Let this person, you deserve much better, right? And now I regret I ever said that, because why? That person is not worthy of a good person next to him. Why? Because the person has so many problems. Let the person be alone. So I have a different point of view now when I see a very difficult relationship. That person, and as we're going to review, there is a big planning before this marriage. So it didn't happen by chance that two people are together. And if you took the commitment, you have to stand by it with the decision. And it's not going to be easy, because you know it's not easy. Especially when economical situations, the financial crash happens, it becomes more and more difficult. But marriage is not about the paper. It's this mutual agreement. It's a it's affection, it's an energy that you have towards someone that you can't explain why you are this person, because there is a karmic reason for that too. So let's be very careful and gentle when we have these agreements, especially when signing the contract. So the Spiritist view of marriage, it's the best tool for the spiritual planning. We saw, and actually that was my last topic in the presentation, how can we plan a better life for you to evolve, for you to become better, without a marriage, without a family, without the career you're gonna have. So marriage is the best thing. Once you get married, it's a little more difficult to let go. With friends, instantly you have a fight, and you know what? I have better friends. You let it pass by, and you don't try. You don't want to deal with the difficulties. But once you're married, things are very different. I remember even with my roommate I love her dearly, and we were on a trip. We didn't even have two beds separate. They gave us like a king size bed, and we had a fight that day. I was like, man, this is marriage life, because I had nowhere to go. She was my partner in crime for the week, and that was my first little experience on what marriage life can be. And again, I could have thought at that time, I really don't want to get married because I don't want to live through this my whole life. But that was a great opportunity for me to learn and become better at some point. We had to make amendments. So marriages and family, it's a choice you make. That's hard to, yes, you can divorce, but you shouldn't. And you shouldn't avoid relationships with a lover partner, or with a friend, or with a difficult person at work. So marriage is a really great tool that the spirituality says, okay, let's see how it goes now. It locks you in a little cage or someone, and you can't go anywhere, right? And the next topic we need to talk about is the obstacle to reproduction. Nowadays we have all the sustainability issues. The world is populating so quickly, and are we going to have food? Are we going to have water for everybody? What are they doing with the environment? All those issues makes us think, how much should we grow? Should we keep on going and having kids and overpopulating the world? We have a good example with China. The disaster that they're going through now, because they even have laws that you have to have only one child, and so it creates a whole imbalance. And to think about that, it's a very delicate subject, and maybe you will see that there is not much answer for it. But Joanna de Angelis, she gave us a thought about it. No doubt we're before a high magnitude problem, which must, however, be studied in the light of the gospel, and not through complex calculations and cold materialistic rainfalls. It's very easy for the government that decided that couples need only one child because this and that. Reincarnation involves much more, as we know. And we're going to talk about the couples also that don't want to have kids, and the reasons for it. It's really cold and materialistic. So that's one point of how to see the reproduction and the obstacles to it. So let's do a little review. When reincarnating, there is no improvisation. You're not with someone next to you if you're married or have a boyfriend right now, a fiancé thinking about getting married. It's not coincidence, those people next to you. It didn't happen just because you're lonely and you finally met someone. It's not that. There was a reason why you're lonely, and me personally, I enjoyed my single life, and these lectures, I get goosebumps because it really is directed to me in so many points. And I really enjoyed my single life. And it really made me think, do I want? Like, I'm independent. I left my family. I learned a new language. I immigrated to this country. Why do I need a man? Right? That's how I think. So the person with me now, and it's, if you look at it, it's not. There is a reason, and there is a planning for that. So we shouldn't really avoid it. There is a big planning, and this planning, as we studied before, it's based on logical and moral, always towards the improvement of the spiritual beings that we are. If every marriage were beautiful and you had all the money you need, all the beautiful children healthy, and if you had food on your table, maids taking care of you, drivers taking you around, what would you learn? You're going to be living in a la-la land that will add nothing to you in the end. So we should not take for granted the challenges that we have on a day-to-day. And of course, the planning can be flexible. We are constructing and building our lives on a day-to-day. And it is, as I said, full of interferences. So we have a masterpiece, and we are adapting to it. We know the difficulties, and the more good things we do, easier this planning, the path, and the challenges that were planned, they can be easier or become more difficult. If I have a bank account of the goodies and the bad things that I do, if my bank account is very positive on the things, we kind of negotiate the next obstacle that we're gonna plan, that we're gonna have to go through that was planned. So that's just a little review on reincarnation, so we keep in mind that nothing is random that happened to us, especially when dealing with family. So the question 693 in the Spiritist book, are the human laws and customs that have been established for the purpose of placing obstacle in a way of reproduction contrary to the laws of nature? So everything that humans are, and we're going to talk about it, discovering and going through, that makes us not to procreate. Whatever hinders the operations of nature is contrary to the general law. And we're going to be talking about controlling the number of kids, if we're having kids or not. So it's kind of related to that. But it also says, but God has given to man over all beings, living beings, a power that he must use without abuse. You can therefore regulate reproduction according to the needs. We should not oppose it unnecessarily. More and more we control, and no, there was a slide that I should have put before. We control when we're going to have kids, if we're going to have kids. I'm planning to. I have the first, that's it. I don't want a second one. So we have to be very careful, and that's why analyzing yourself, studying yourself helps on those type of decisions. No one's going to tell us what the planning was for us. It's hard to know, but we have to really keep an open mind to it and pay attention if there was a planning or not. And Joanna says that no matter what, we can actually avoid having kids or families, but pay attention, because the child that was planned for us may come as a nephew or as a godchild for us. So be open to whoever was planned to come into your life. It will come somehow, if not through childhood. So let's be open for things like that, because we need to take responsibilities here. And if we're not having the family, somehow it will come back to us. And that's another subject that's very delicate, and I never thought myself. And of course, as a young girl, I used birth control pills. I used to. And again, it's like it's very self-reflecting all this learning when you come here to do these presentations. And I'm sure most of us have done that. And there is a book from Jorge Andrea, Forças Sexuais da Alma. There's no translation, but it's a great book on the aspects and the influence of both birth control, and especially on birth control pills. The use of birth control pills is deserving further research. It's in considering the possibility of harmful consequences in the perispiritual field. So we know that those birth control pills, they physically block hormones. It physically blocks ovulation in women. And when we take those pills, we take for a good amount of years sometimes. And there's nothing we do to our physical body that will not affect our perispirit. If the pills are acted exclusively on the material regions, would be an unrestricted base linked to the concepts presented by science as to use it. So if for affect only the physical body, okay, whatever science says, that's going to be the effect of it and would be perfect, right? However, the existence of the perispiritual field allows new thoughts. And until this presentation, I never stopped to think about it. I never cared about it. But it's so true. We're taking, when we take these pills and we have our period, it's not a normal period because there is no eggs and there is no ovulation happening. So it's a big impact in our feminine, in our reproduction system, that it's physical for now, but we don't really know where we're going to go to with these. Those who abuse birth control with the improper use of contraceptives contribute to the degradation of customs and disorganization of the genetic center, the life-giving mechanism. We know we have center of force called chakras, and we have one that is related to the reproductive system. So what Jorge Andrea mentions is those pills, they're affecting right there. And if you want to know more about the magnetic aspects of the chakras with the Spiritist view, I studied chakras before Spiritism. There is a slight discrepancy on how to classify. We've heard about the root chakra, the base chakra, and we have, the way I study in the spiritualism, root chakra, sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra will be related to the sexual energy and the sexual organs. With the Spiritist view, all the responsibility goes to the centro genésico, the genetic center, which is actually our base chakra. So if you want details on that, we have this book here. It's actually from the store. If you want to have a look at it, it's interesting for a learning point of view. So again, I'm talking about it, and I've done this myself. I don't want anybody being too sensitive about the subject or not talking to me after that. But we need to think about that next time we wanna control things in our life. Regretting motherhood, and that's another slide for myself. Divaldo de Franco, when he came here, and I had to watch the video again. He was answering questions from the audience. And my question to him was about women that don't want to get pregnant, about people that choose not to have kids, right? And I was a little angry, and that's why I'm saying don't have the same feeling for me, or if you do, think better later. Because he said it's a trauma that you care from your childhood, from your family. And I thought myself, I have parents, they never divorced. I have two loving sisters, but I don't want to have kids. At that point, I was in a transition. do I want kids or not? When I was young, I'm young. When I was much younger, I didn't want a motherhood because I wanted to live a life. I used to see my parents fighting, and I'm like, I don't want this for me. So I built a block on like motherhood. And then I came to Canada. I joined the Spiritist Center, and it made me open my mind much more regarding the subject. So that's why I was ready to listen from Divaldo when I asked. I thought so, and I wasn't, because he talked about conflicts. He talked about trauma, and I'm like, that's not me, right? So since then, I've been thinking about it, and I tried to learn more because I truly believe in the Spiritist view, and that's when I actually decided I do want to be a mother. I want to have kids. Not for myself only, but because it's the highest, the purest, the most devoting way of helping people. So I decided I want to have kids because I know I'm gonna be helping a soul to incarnate, to evolve, like you help your husband, like you help your mother, like you help your grandma. It's gonna be a direct, responsible act when I decided to become a mother. And some of you know, and that's why I like analyzing and studying the person. So I'm giving it to you guys a great example of doing that. Sometimes you want to know about past life and what you did. With the little piece of information that I gave to you now about myself, I didn't want to have kids. I want to party. I partied a lot. I had the question, should I be a mother or not? It may be or may not. I got pregnant, and after 2 months, coincidentally or not, Mother's Day weekend, I found out that I lost a child this month. And I'm preparing this presentation. I talked to Sandra and I said, right now, all the information is so confused in my mind. I don't think I'm ready to present to anyone about motherhood because I'm so hurt, and I don't think I'm going to be talking good things here. But time passes by, and I don't think anything is coincidence. So maybe I am going through one of those spiritual lessons that we have, right? There was a reason why I didn't want to have kids, and now I lose a child, and now I want it more than ever because it's making me appreciate it so much that I wasn't born with this eager to be a mother, and I learned to appreciate it and to want to do it. And when I take the position, I lose it. Thank God for the Spiritism in my life, the Spiritism in my life, right? Because it's definitely not something easy that's happening. So, again, if I've done anything in the past that I deserve that, I should love myself and take care of myself right now for going through what I'm going through and try not to be judgmental too much. I'm here, I'm trying to become better, so should all of us with any topic that really touches us. So, moving on, we have a slide here with the average of children. Our great parents used to have an average 7 children. The great grandparents. Our grandparents, in average, about 4 kids. So my mom, 3. My mom actually has five siblings, but in average 4. Us, our parents, I am actually one of 3 kids. In average, right now, we have 2 siblings, 1, maybe 4. I don't know many people with 4 siblings. It's usually 2, 3 maximum. And that's us. Right? My generation is thinking of 1 kid or 2. Some 0, right? So it makes sense. So what's happening? Right? We are more and more, and we have all the, when we don't want to do that, is the reasons we find for not having kids today, it's so materialistic. First, we avoid because we're not ready. Oh, I don't have a good job. Oh, I just immigrated to Canada. Oh, the child's not going to have a good education. Oh, this and that. So the reasons we choose are actually, like before, great-grandpas, they just keep on producing, right? No TV, right? No internet. So why is that? And we're all here. Our parents are, you know, so many great opportunities to incarnate, so many great opportunities to make people keeping on evolving. So the question about couples avoiding children, how to interpret the attitude of couples who avoid children. Couples worthy and respectable from all points of view, which systematize the use of contraceptives. That's in the book Action and Reaction. Most often are unprepared workers who would rather save the sweat, hunger of short-sighted comfort. Again, it's a rough judgment because we have so many other priorities in life. Career-wise, before, women were not expected to have a successful career. So there is a lot involved. The talk today is for us to just think about it. Don't judge ourselves too much on that. Life is different right now. Women is going for equality, and it's hard to have a top career job and kids and all that. Unfortunately, they only postpone sublime achievements which will inevitably come back. Because their tasks and families struggle, they represent the inevitable price of our regeneration. So we don't want to have a family now. We don't want to be in a relationship in this life. That's fine. We all have different times. We all evolve differently, and we don't have to do because everybody else is doing. But keeping those lessons in mind, in the next life, we're going to think differently. And that's why we come here. We're not going to change who we are in one life all of a sudden. So again, let's just meditate on the thoughts for now. And again, when he mentioned that inevitably it will come back, the next part that I didn't put here, it's exactly about some people that come to us in our life, and it's not necessarily family, but there is a connection, and somehow you want to help that person. And maybe it's the child you decided not to have. Maybe it's the husband you decided not to marry. Right? Talking about some consequences of that, we talk about psychological harm. That we don't know where it comes from. But the whole planning we talked about, someone is expecting to come through you or through a family, and this person is not allowed to, and there will be some magnetic energy exchange that's going to maybe affect your life, and you don't even know where it's coming from. So again, self-knowledge helps a lot to find out what's going on in our suffering, our struggles, moments in life. And sometimes that can be one of the consequences. So to conclude this delicate topic, the assessment of birth control conditions is of greater complexity. Only those who participate in a global understanding, physically and spiritual, are in a position to give an option. And here we're talking in general how many kids society should have. Like what happened to China, for example. Only someone with a gospel point of view, with a spiritual point of view, and of course physical and intellectual. And even though they're still subject to an error. So there is no sharp answer to the question, but food for thought, for sure. And now, I still have time. Okay. And now let's talk about abortion, which is unfortunately much worse than not wanting to have kids. Right? Is it a crime to challenge abortion in any period of pregnancy? As we learn, as we know, at conception, the little cell gets connected to a spirit, to a soul that's going to incarnate. And even before that, that soul is visiting family. It's trying to get around the energy to prepare to come. So when we take a child, no matter when, it is a crime that transgresses the law of God. A mother or whoever commits a crime when taking the life of a child before its birth. And that's a little thing that says the human life begins at conception and the heartbeat on week 3. So there is a heart bumping at week 3. So abortion through the lights of the Spiritism is crime because of that. There is one exception, and it is when it involves the life of the mother. So if there is a risk with the mother, then we should choose the mother, not the child. But that's the only way that we can accept the action of abortion. Some reasons not to. The victim has no choice to plead mercy, no robust arms that can be entrusted to the reaction movements, which means the little one is over there and he has no voice. So when taking out someone that's willing to incarnate is just not fair. All children are sacred, a sacred loan. So the children are not ours for us to take their lives away. And even if it is, no mother has a right to kill anyone because it's your child or not. Even to travel with the country, outside the country, the father has to interfere. So it's not only for the couple. The woman is not only denying the right of life to another being, prevent him from another opportunity of revolution, as well as contributing to the damaged body. So it's not only, and it's not even the child's life that's involved. She is actually avoiding a lot of her own involvement in life, her own path, her own development in life. And it says it's easier for us to live with children with problems. It's easier for us to live with children problem than with bitter enemies. So there's a damn missing. Sometimes we find out that the child has a problem and we go and induce abortion because you don't want a baby with a problem. It's another very delicate topic, but the point here is you better nourish this kid, no matter how healthy it is or not, than having an enemy that will hate you forever if you don't allow the possibility of he or her to hear him to come. And we should not use the opportunity of reincarnation to enjoy earthly pleasure only. Sometimes that's the reason we choose to take a life over my life, my fun life. So it's just not fair. So abortion is not a solution, it's a painful postponement. It will come back to us, as we know, and as we believe in karma. So some consequence for abortion, and we can see today, couples who cannot conceive, symptoms in the crime in the exact period in which practiced abortion in the previous life. That's something I never thought of, but sometimes a woman has a child, and then natural abortion happens for the second or third child. And it can be related to an abortion she committed at the exact same time after a first child in a past life. So they gave this mix on that too. And as we learn, male and female reproductive systems, disease in uterus, tubal pregnancy, sterility, among others. So we have our physical body is only a reflect of the spirits, and that goes for any other part of our physical system. If there is something that's wrong, there is it's just a spirit reflect. So of course all those problems can happen when we roughly take a life. The perispirit of the woman suffers profound imbalances still unknown to earthly science. So much to find out. With science hasn't reached the perispirited yet, and we know it's there. So there's so much that we're so far to find out, right? And to conclude today's talk, I speak with an open heart to, no matter what we have done in the past, no matter, sometimes we know we did things that we shouldn't have done. We're all sons of God. And I read someone said, would Jesus forgive us? Jesus doesn't forgive us because he never got offended by us. So we should act towards ourselves like that. Like, if you can forgive, great, but we shouldn't even, with a humble heart, feel the need to forgive anyone around us, or especially ourselves. The lessons we have today is just a way of the universe giving us an insight. Know yourself better. If this is happening to you, son, it's painful now, but it's constructing a better path. And be gentle. We're not perfect, and we don't have to be perfect right now, no matter what it is. And from a personal point of view, I've been very sad for the last couple of days, but you know what? It's making me much better, much stronger, and I can go back, right? As Chico Xavier says. So let's start from now on and try to be better for now. That's the best what we can do. That's the best we can do for ourselves and to the ones next to us. No guilt feelings, and just love yourselves, and be very patient too. And that's the message. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catarina. Any questions, comments, tears?
I would share all my tears with you right now, but the only comment I would say when we talk about abortion, it's such a sensitive topic, right? It's when you study the Spiritist, right, and when you try to live your life according to it, you're very much tougher on yourself, right? Yet still, it doesn't give you the right to judge the others, and I think that's the beauty when you have this in your life and you see someone going through an abortion or a pro-abortion, you will just embrace them the same way, because they will have to deal with it on their own. It's not Jesus or God that will punish you. There's no such a thing. When time comes, you'll get this understanding, right? But not us saying, no, you're not coming to the Spiritist Center, no, you're never going to be forgiven. That person will be already suffering a lot through his or her own conscience, and that's the hard thing to live with.
Right? That's for sure. Our conscience is our gods, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately got mixed up with the whole social movement of giving equality to women.
Exactly.
So it became a symbol of power. But the real power that women have is to give life, not to take it away. So I think we still need to evolve as a society to understand that, protect women from still the abuses that they receive, which are not fair either, and the consequences in their lives that would cause them to do this. But more importantly, I think is the Spiritist movement has the obligation to just alert people that this is still not right. Right? This is not the way that things should be. in a good world, in a happy world that we're trying to move to, people have the choices, they have the love, and they do it because they want to, and they will be blessed with the children that they want.
And they're learning that. They're teaching that to the women. So
Yeah.
we have to be very, very understanding with everyone, and including ourselves, because the choices I had before is for what I learned in life. But now I'm learning different things. So understanding.
And never condone violence to try to
No.
reverse that.
Yeah.
Your question?
About adoption, if adoption has more merit than giving birth in the Spiritism view.
Oh, for sure. Abortion, if you talk to Divaldo...
No, adoption.
Oh, sorry, adoption. I have abortion in my mind. If you talk to
Adoption.
Divaldo, adoption is the best thing you can do in life.
Ultimate
It's...
gesture of love.
Sorry?
The ultimate gesture of love.
Yes, because when we have a child, we don't know what's going to come. It's a little bit of I want to have a child or my family. When you adopt, you go beyond all those feelings. We have marriage, and we have all these human laws that are helping, as I said, the spiritual tools, because people are not able to adopt. Because people are not able to adopt a friend. Truly. Adoption is a beautiful act that you can do. As I said, if you don't have a child and it's too late, it's never too late. You can always adopt. You can take care of a family member that, it doesn't matter. Adoption is beautiful. There is no wrong with that.
Just recently read a book from the Great World, and it brings two cases in the book that I think it matches a lot with what you spoke today. One is actually they go to try to help this girl to stop to do an abortion, and the spirit that's supposed to come with us, she has a hating relationship from past lives, but the spirit that's coming out her son, it's willing to come and try to fix and love her back and try to change that. So they try to come using the spirit of her designated mother to stop the abortion, but unfortunately she decides, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to go through. And that spirit was supposed to be her son and love her back and try to break this long term, now hates her tenfold because she's not giving him the opportunity. So as she's going ahead with the abortion, that Giuseppe is telling her, I'm going to hate you and I'm going to pay for everything even more. So this is what she's saying. Sometimes better to have a problem child than having an enemy. Because they are already coming from our hating relationship, then now it's tenfold worse. And the other case that it's interesting, maybe I like it because it kind of puts me in a good place, just working on my own cause. It's another case of a woman who's also ready to commit a suicide because she could never get married and have kids, because that was her dream. But her whole life she sacrificed herself for her family, including helping her sister to raise 4 kids, because she has a drunk husband who's not the greatest man. So she ended up living with her sister to help with all the names. And her whole life she worked for other people. And now she's very angry because she was about to get married, and this guy who was going to get married, who now is in a better position, she helped him to get a better position. No, you're not good enough, I'm going to marry a rich girl now. So she's ready to commit suicide, and as she's sleeping, the spirits are talking to her, and she's saying, is there a crime that I want to have kids, I have all my own kids, my own family? And they say it's not a crime, but you have to remember that you can have your own family, you can have your own kids, own society. So he brings an idea of a bigger family than, of course, having your own family, there's an own honor in that and everything, but he brings to her this concept of being a mother can go beyond having your own kids. Because if you really think, she's actually helping to raise her 4 nephews who may be formerly spirits who have a connection with her, and so many other people around her. So that's what they brought her, that there's a fraternal law that we can spread to anybody around us. And doesn't need to be necessary to our own husband or wife, our own kids. It is a bigger family there that we, as far as we there, and I think you mentioned in the beginning what you're saying, you could be on celibacy because your own selfish ways, but you can do because now you can provide more to other people. So I think those are two things that in the book that really matches a lot what we brought to us today.
That's a great experience. We're all born to be mothers and fathers, and we don't need a family for that, right? It's our heart that's going to guide us into the doing good to others. So if you live a life and your conscience is happy with it, that's where we aim. Those are great examples. I have a friend, he's a man, single, but he's a mother to all of us, his friends. He's always thinking ahead. He came to visit his friend that's moving with a bunch of boxes because she's moving in 2 weeks. She hasn't even started. She has a kid. She's pregnant. She can't even walk. And she was all emotional because he came with a bunch of boxes. Who would think that? A father or a mother, right? Yeah. So you don't need that. That's what I'm saying. We have so many opportunities to practice love. This place is the best option for us to practice love anywhere and anytime.
And as you said, right, it's your child will come no matter in which way.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And we've been bound for so many centuries around social stereotypes, right? And if anything that we can observe over the last few decades, and we've been witness to this, is how these stereotypes are being taken away, changing. The definition of a family, definition of what is love, definition of what it means to have a mature relationship between two individuals has changed so much. And I think this is just, again, saw the lecture on the law of progress. This is evolution, right? We will not be bound by old stereotypes because the time for them has come and gone. There was a reason why we needed those stereotypes. Now we're moving into different relationships, different social connections that are more complex, more rewarding, and more open to understand that each one of us is an individual with different skills and different qualities, that we can't all fit the same stereotype. We could never do that. So are we reaching a level of maturity as a society, as a planet, where we can exercise that individuality now with responsibility and respect? That's what we didn't know. That's why we didn't do it before, because we didn't have that level of intellectual evolution to give us the sense of accountability, of being that individual that is unique. Thank you, Catatina. I know this was...
It was a tough,
but there was a reason for it. So it worked out.
I'm glad it did it, yeah.
So now I want
Just
to...
being a father.
Oh, exactly.
So now
Internet,
let's...
anyone? Any comment?
Thank you, everyone who is watching in the internet. It's always a pleasure to have you. It's better when you're present, but we understand. Thank you for those who have come here to visit us or to be here for the first time. We'll now have our passes. So we ask you to just continue sitting down and contemplating the words that we've heard today. And it will be... I have some final words and a final prayer after the passes.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Catatina.
Thank you.